I just got this mental image of Doug Bowser sitting on a throne with like pits of fire on either side of him, and various like gamers coming up and being like shoved to the floor and being like, "Ask your question now."
What about the Santa Claus in Christmas Story? He like puts his foot on the kid's face. Oh, oh, oh.
And then the kid, he crawls back up the slide and he's like, wait, I just want Waluigi and Smash.
You'll put your eye out, kid.
He's already an assist trophy, and then he kicks him down the slide. Hello, my angry sons. Welcome to the Nintendo Everything Podcast, episode 29. I am your host, Oni Dino. With me, I have a gentle slope. It's Galen.
Hey, how's it going today?
So, Galen, people have been requesting gentle slopes in Mario Maker, and it's finally here. You are what everyone has been waiting for. Galen.
Mm-hmm. I can tell you now that I'm here, it's all going downhill.
Oh, wow! That was way better than I could have even made a joke out of. Wow, that was perfect. So, this episode is all about Mario Maker 2, the direct that just came out this week, what's new, what we love, what we hate, and I'm also going to share a bit about my trip last week to Koei Tecmo, where I was invited to cover a pre-release event for Attack on Titan 2 Final Battle. But first, we have some special guests and a special segment for this episode. Galen, you might need to hold me back because my excitement cannot be contained. We're going to be talking about 90s-era JRPGs, which is my favorite thing in the whole world.
No force can contain you from this. I know from experience.
So let's get straight into introducing our guests. So joining us today are two developers of the stylish modern take on SNES-era JRPGs, Shadows of Adam, which released very recently on Nintendo Switch. From the development studio, Something Classic Games, we are joined by Tim and Tyler. What up, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey everybody, and sorry that's my dog Jackson.
They're gonna edit it out.
He wanted to be a part too.
Believe me, we have no shortage of animals in the background on this podcast, so...
It's half the draw, right?
Yeah.
So, Tim, how about you start off and just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do at Something Classic?
Alright, yeah, I am the art director for Something Classic, and primarily directed the art for the game, given that's my role. Aside from that, I helped design the battle system. Yeah, that's about it. Just handling things.
Nice.
I had some experience working at Zynga, Farmville people before, and worked in games in general as a freelance artist for 15 years, pretty much, aside from my stint at Zynga. So I came in with that expertise to sort of help guide the process.
Awesome. Well, the art of Shadows of Adam is some of my favorite aspects of the game, so I'd say you did a damn fine job.
Awesome, thank you very much.
And then Tyler, how about you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh sure, I'm Tyler. I was the composer for Shadows of Adam, and kind of assisted with Tim on balancing battle system and general QA. Tim sells himself a little short. We all sort of wore a lot of hats. Different times we all sort of were the de facto producers. We all did marketing, social media. Tim and I have been to a lot of conferences together and RPG limit breaks, so we've done a lot of hustling as a team for sure.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, unfortunately this was my first commercial project. Game project at least. I have a background as a professional musician, but I had never produced a commercial game, so Tim's expertise was definitely very useful to the team.
Awesome. I never would have guessed by the music that this is your first commercial experience, because especially as I was playing most recently, so I totally bought the game. Galen did too. And I got up to the sneaking mission and I was just on the menu for a second because I was doing something else. And then I was like, damn, I love this music. And I was like thinking like the music and the visuals are definitely two of my favorite aspects of this game. And then here I am talking to the two guys responsible for it.
Yeah, you picked good guests.
Well, that's very kind of you.
No, I mean, it's true. I'm not even making it up.
Well, I mean, when commercial isn't like involved in games, like a commercial game, like I mentioned, I I've done a lot of professional writing and playing in my career, and like done music for amateur games before. I mean, Tim and I come from way back in the early 2000s, like 2003, 4, 5 ish, in the RPG Maker community.
Oh,
when
excellent.
we were like little teeny boppers.
Yeah, I think it started around 99.
Well, yeah, it's true. I was using RPG Maker 95.
RPG Maker 2000, RPG Maker...
On the forums, I think we started socializing. Tyler was like 12 years old when I first met him, and I was in high school and bestowing my knowledge of being an adult.
That forum was hilarious because, like, I remember if anyone was like 15 or 16, they're like, "Oh my god, they're so old," and like 18 was like your grandpa. I mean, there was a whole like joke. It was just a phrase that they had on the site called "You are 13," and it basically was used as a derogative. Like, you're acting like a 13-year-old. And these are 14-year-olds saying this to 13-year-olds, so just to give you some perspective of the depth of arbitrary. There was an old forum called Gaming World. Sorry, I didn't mean to delve into the past too much, but it's kind of an interesting way. A lot of the developers of Something Classic, I think 4 of the 5 of us were all part of that community at some point. That's how a lot of us met, so it's pretty crazy.
That's fascinating. Galen and I also were super huge into RPG Maker when we were younger. We would always, so Galen and I used to live near each other, and I would go over to Galen's house. I didn't have any computers or anything. Galen had a computer, but it wasn't hooked up to the internet, so we probably didn't go on those forums more than like occasionally, but I do remember those forums, and we would sit on his offline computer and make up our own games in RPG Maker 95 and RPG Maker 2000 all the time.
I remember just changing so many sprites ever so subtly because I can never find exactly what it was that we wanted to actually make things go.
I just used Robo from Chrono Trigger. Like, that was that was good enough for me.
That works too.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about your game Shadows of Adam? How about you introduce it to people who have not heard about this game yet?
So Shadows of Adam is a JRPG for people with jobs. Our friend Patrick Holman actually coined that phrase for us, and I think it sort of perfectly encapsulates the aesthetic of the game, which is, imagine if your favorite 90s JRPG was sort of reimagined for the modern era, with all the modern conveniences of no random battles, being able to save anywhere, no grinding, a tightly focused plot, and a game that's only going to take about 15 to 20 hours of your time. We just really wanted to make something like a game that was similar to the games that were really important to us in our youth, and I suspect y'all's as well. But also, like, some of the mechanics didn't age as well, there's no reason in a modern game you shouldn't be able to save anywhere. You shouldn't have to grind. That's just sort of padding and artificial difficulty. And, you don't need 60 spells if 40 of them are useless by the end of the game.
Yeah.
So we just try to, tweak a few things while still keeping the spirit. And, it's an homage for sure, but we like to think it still has their own voice in it. And, a JRPG for people with jobs. Made by Americans.
Yep, succinctly said.
I do have to admit, when I started playing this game, it definitely did bring on a slew of nostalgic feelings while playing it. Going through the battle system, especially, I remember feeling that challenge of a kid of kind of like, oh, I have to do more than just press the fight attack button and then just go on to the next random battle. So, it was very refreshing to kind of play through it. And I feel like you struck a really good balance between exactly what you were going for. I feel like those nostalgia elements are definitely there, as well as kind of bringing in that, especially the humor of the game. Like, the modernized humor kind of struck with me and surprised me.
Yeah, that's the talented writing of our friend Luke. I actually sought him out specifically to write the story for the game, because when I first worked on the game, it inherited a not-so-powerful story. And I was like, I know a guy who wrote an amazing RPG Maker game back in the day, and I was in discussions with him maybe a year ago about writing it for a different game. So I was like, let me reach out to him. Then you have it. He joined the team.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
it's
really
kind
cool.
of funny how that happened, because I remember that exact conversation. Tim was like, "Oh, I know a guy. I've been talking to Luke, the guy who made The Ways. Oh, The Ways, this cool classic RPG Maker game from like 2004ish, which I had never actually played. And I still haven't. Sorry, Luke. But no, he was. It was interesting because we kind of actually brought him on as like a contractor at first. We just said, "Here's X amount of dollars. Here's kind of a generic script like flow. Like we kind of want these areas, maybe these characters, just sort of flesh it out." And like over a month, he wrote like this really fleshed out script that had lots of humor and backstory and some really cool lore stuff. And we paid him, and that was kind of it. But I think at that point he was sort of more invested, and we had this really terrible intro to our game, which kind of survived for like a year or two. And at some point he was like, "We need to rewrite this intro, completely scrap it." And I was always like the more like curmudgeon conservative member of the group, where I wanted to not change anything because I like wanted progress, and he's like, "Look, if I insist, this intro is so bad we have to change it, and if I have to make all the maps for the new dungeon, I'll do it." And then that was kind of how Luke became our map designer too.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he joined the team. So that was kind of funny how that worked. And then he made that amazing intro scene, our intro dungeon, the Tangle, which like looks incredible, has really great map design.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it's very unique in terms of just a destination in an RPG.
Oh, sure.
It's something you rarely see, and when you do, it's probably like the last dungeon.
Yeah, sort of like that weird for weird's sake kind of vibe, or otherworldly thing. Yeah, it's kind of a strong dungeon to start on for sure.
Yeah, I had the exact same impression when I was playing. Immediately it throws you right in, and you're, sort of playing your tutorial map, I suppose you could call it, but it doesn't feel like it's, walking a couple steps forward and then a message pops up, hold B to run or something like that. It really does feel like a last final boss dungeon or something like that, but it looks so good. It looks like something that you'd see in the beautiful sprite work of like the GBA era, like a little more advanced than the SNES era, and it looks fantastic. It was designed in a good way where you have to look behind some of the larger pixels and you find like a little secret chest or something, which is always fun.
Yeah. And from a game developer standpoint, like, I definitely appreciate the balance that you guys struck when it came to, here's the tutorial level, we're going to go ahead and give you almost the spirit of what the game is going to be and what you're going to be investing your time into without holding your hand and telling you everything all together.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, the first time that I saw the first enemy on the overworld, that told me so many things. It told me, A, this is a game where you get to choose more or less what battles you run into, and B, you don't have to go with a random battling system, all just from a simple glance in that first encounter. And then I was also surprised when I found out that the enemies didn't move around directly towards me too, and that told me another thing of kind of contributing to the balance that this game is going to be having too.
And yeah, that was pretty much our intention throughout the entire game, is a show don't tell philosophy.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
With the rules of the game. Just in general, that was something I picked up from working at Zynga, and they put a huge amount of emphasis on Fatui, the first time user experience, and what that's supposed to feel like, and how you guide the player through it. And one of the main issues we had at that company is everyone just hated pop-ups, right? In every single Fatui of every single game. Like, you play Farmville, and the first thing you do is click X through 20 pop-ups, or something like that. Or you're blindly clicking the thing circled with the pop-up telling you why you're clicking this thing. But nobody reads the pop-ups. They just click the circle. Go through the whole thing, they don't learn anything about the game.
Right.
So we wanted to avoid that, because one, no one pays attention to it, and it's not a great first-time experience.
Yeah.
It always drives me... Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Nobody
But that's what I was saying. No.
I was about to say, guys, flip a coin.
Well, I'll just talk about flipping coins, because I was at 2 different bars yesterday, eating food and whatever, and both bars, people didn't know what to order, and they asked the bartender to flip coins to help them decide.
Oh, I'm sure that was so much fun for the bartender.
So you're saying they left it up to RNG?
Yeah, pretty much. And And so yeah, the second time I saw it, I had to comment. I was like, "You serious? Why do you people not know how to eat food?"
Yeah, that's really terrible. Like, if that's your own thing, that's cool. You know, you're only inconveniencing yourself. But like, this bartender is like, my God, these are the worst people.
Right. Unfortunately, the bartenders, they seem to both know each individual pretty well. That aside, it's still no excuse.
So going back a bit to what you guys were saying about you had this intro that you didn't like, can you tell us anything about that intro? I'm kind of intrigued.
Yeah, it was terrible. It sucked. The boss was called Slime Boss. I mean, that's literally what the boss's name was. You know, that was 6 years ago, so me and Josh, the first two guys who started working on Shadows of Adam, kind of had like a very like narrow scope for what we wanted the game to be, which would be like even more of an obnoxious like retro throwback.
Oh.
The opening dungeon was just sort of like vague in a way that wasn't satisfying. Like, it was confusing. The dungeon itself was boring. It didn't like catch the user. It didn't have like what Tim said, a good first time user experience. It was just awful.
It basically told the same story, but in a way that provided zero context with each narrative drop. And by the end of it, it just makes less and less sense what's happening and why the events are unfolding the way they did. And visually, it looked like the water garden, and actually has some of the water garden mechanics on it. But it was a much earlier exploration and graphical style, so it was like an 8-bit water garden.
Yeah.
I think every now and then we post pictures of it on social media.
Yeah, somewhere there's like old builds of the game where you can play it. I think like it gets passed around on our Discord sometimes, but yeah, it also just like lacked like the urgency. Like we definitely wanted like sort of a cold intro, like a FF7 or or Chrono Cross, you know, kind of a cold open. Actually, I'll plug myself once because this was my idea and I want this on the record. No, actually, when Luke rewrote our intro, he did all this like expository stuff. Like it chronologically flowed in the right order. But I thought that there was just too much exposition at the beginning, so I suggested it be done as a flashback at the end of the intro dungeon, which I thought really helped make the flow better. Because otherwise, that long scene where after you beat the Tangle and you fall down the rope, they kind of like pass out, and Azrael has a recollection of her being hassled in the town, and shows them like running to the Tangle. That was actually going to be the intro of the game, I think.
Yeah.
But it was just so much stuff. I thought like, well, let's just like let you get going. Fight a few monsters, get a sense for walking around, etc., and then we'll introduce that. It's a nice breather before the boss, and I thought, you know, that was, of all my ideas, probably one of the best, and like, I'm really smart for doing that, and Nintendo Everything podcast to know it was me.
Basically saved the game.
I saved the game. I mean, it's insane.
I would have quit playing it if I played it and experienced that scene first. But why is the water poisoned?
Breaking up the flow of the game like that and the pacing of it was that was a really good call, because it almost gave the message of, hey, come for the mechanics, stay for the story.
Yeah, you know, there's like the right pacing of like gameplay beats and story beats, and there can't be too much of any before when you get bored. Like if there's just nonstop dungeoning, at some point it will get tedious, so it's sometimes nice to break it up. Have some scenes, some humor, or some story beats, or like so you know why you keep going on the adventure. I think that was a big part of the design. I think Luke did a good job with that. Like I remember actually on a couple betas, like testing through the entire game, or maybe even alpha, I don't remember, and just being like, you know, Luke, like I feel like right here we need something. Like one, this little story beat isn't quite as developed as I'd like, and also for pacing purposes, I feel like there needs to be something here. So it'd be like 2 birds with 1 stone. Like develop a character a little bit more, help break up the pacing.
Very cool.
So yeah,
that's great.
Continued.
So many, I think, times people are not thinking about the pacing when they're developing their own game, or maybe they're not thinking of like the relationships that the characters have and how players, for the first time player, is experiencing that as opposed to what the developer has in their head. And I think you guys did a great job on that. Like for example, with the scene right before the first boss, that like gives that moment it gives the moment a chance to breathe, and then suddenly the boss battle feels a bit more heavy as well.
Yeah, definitely so. appreciate the compliment.
Yeah, of course.
I'm glad we were able to accomplish that, right? Because
Well, it's all because of my great idea.
you set out with the goal, and whether or not you execute on it is another thing. But we definitely designed the entire game with other people in mind and not ourselves.
Yeah, that's tricky.
There's no doing things to please ourselves. I'll say that.
I mean, we added a whole DLC where the only reason we added it is so you could suplex a train. And obviously it was my fan quest.
That was definitely not for us.
Well, it
We're
kind of
just
was.
getting sick of hearing it.
Yeah, can you suplex a train? Can you suplex a train? Alright, we'll do it. There's a boss, he's a train. He's weak to suplex. Go do it.
Oh, that's great.
I've been waiting for that moment.
I, of course, haven't gotten to that part in the game at all. I've only just gotten past the wind tower, but I already have heard about you can suplex a train. And I was like, yeah, Final Fantasy VI, all right.
Yeah, it's a good draw. I wonder how many people we've sold copies to on that alone.
Probably a lot. I'm going to just say that.
That's a pretty big, like, iconic moment from that game.
So I wanted to sort of tell a little bit of a story on the podcast about your game. So I don't know if you guys know this or remember or whatever, but like about a year and a half ago, I sent you guys a tweet on Twitter about, yo, the Switch is killing it with indies. Indie developers keep saying, I can't believe how much we're selling on the Switch. And I was like, this is what's happening. Where's Shadows of Adam? Put it on the Switch. And then like later on in the week, you guys put up like a little mock-up of Shadows of Adam on a Switch console, and you're like, just judging some interest, retweet if it's popular. So I got you guys some promotion on Nintendo Everything, and then that sort of blew up a little bit, and then you guys, from there, I think, started to work with Circle Entertainment to get Shadows of Adam on the Switch.
I do remember that, because that Pit, thanks by the way for helping us spread that tweet. I do remember that because I asked him to do that Photoshop, and he flipped the Joy-Cons backwards.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
That's how we went viral.
Yeah, it's like half the comments were like, oh, sick! And the other comments were like, hey, the Joy-Cons are backwards.
You can't be wrong on the internet. Someone will know.
Right.
Oh, they're ready.
I'm going to remember that. I think that there's value in subtle trolls like that for the future. Just because it'll definitely cause engagement. Somebody's got to say something. They can't help themselves.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
will actually crowd.
Like, these people want their game on the Switch and they don't even know what color the Joy-Cons are or whatever, and then it starts passing around from there. But guess what? Free promotion.
Yo,
Right.
gotcha, suckers.
But back to kind of what you had mentioned, we kind of like wheezed to the finish line when we released on PC. We had done a Kickstarter a year before, and then there was like, I don't know how long was it, like 8 months span of just like beta testing and like lots of it, and just like getting the game out in 2017, and then like end of that year getting the DLC out. It was just like, okay, we're done all these updates. Like, we're cool to chill for a little bit. We were bringing it to some conferences. Like me and Josh, one of our programmers, went to MagFest in 2018. This is like maybe half a year after Switch was out.
Yeah, I remember that.
One of our major questions we were asked, this was after we got asked, can you suplex a train? They would ask, oh, is this game coming out to Switch? Because this is so cool. I really want to play this. Like, oh, no, it's just on PC. PC and Linux. Don't forget the Linux. But they would be like, oh, I don't really game on my PC. I'd really just love to play this on Switch. I'm like, okay. So we heard that chorus over and over. It's like, oh, okay. And it's like, didn't we get like an email from this like company, like back when we released on Steam about maybe porting it? Mm-hmm. So like we followed up with, I don't know, you probably remember this better than I do.
Yeah, there were 2 of them. Circle was one of them, and there was another company too.
Yeah. Did we literally just start thinking like this would be cool to do this? We put that tweet out and we're like, okay, there's definitely demand. We were like really inspired by like that Blossom Tales game that had done really well.
Oh yeah,
on
yeah.
Switch.
I think FDG Entertainment. I think that's I don't know if that's publisher or developer.
I think it's the publisher.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. It was a solid game. I really enjoyed it. I actually got it at during that MagFest. I was like, okay, this is a game that had like a Kickstarter and had a similar reception to us on Steam, but it got on the Switch and it's really doing quite well from what I understand. I don't know, what did we do? I guess then we just contacted Circle and just sort of like got the ball rolling.
We were like, hey, you want to do this still? Just went from there.
Yeah.
That's excellent. I think Circle is a really good publisher that seems to select the games that they publish in a really good manner. I always will pay attention whenever Circle is like, yo, we're publishing this game, because their pedigree has been like proven time and time again for me. So anytime that they're releasing a game, I'm like, yo, I'll check that.
It's good to know. Then we lucked out because we knew nothing about them.
No, we did a little research. I think I bought a couple of their games.
Yeah.
There was a game called Way to the West or World of the West, something like that.
Yeah.
And that was like a really fun action adventure game, puzzle game. And then they had published this it was like a tactical RPG series, but they like bundled 3 games in one. Mercenary Sagas, I believe. I played that a little bit. That was pretty fun.
Awesome.
I do have to say, speaking for all the trolls out there, it's a shame you didn't make the Switch announcement just a little bit later, because with the whole Persona controversy that just went on, you could have totally just come out with Shadows of Adam S just for the longest time, and then come out with a trailer that was just Shadow of Adam's The Warriors game.
Right?
Yeah.
Dynasty Warriors, Shadows of Adam.
I'd play that.
Yeah, I probably would too. Might be the only way I play another Dynasty Warriors game.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind me asking, now that the game has been out on Switch for, 2 weeks, 3 weeks now?
2 weeks today.
Nice.
How have sales been on the Nintendo Switch compared with your previous launches?
My assessment is it's pretty comparable to Steam. Maybe better.
I feel like the initial surge has been much better than it was on Steam.
Yeah, the thing with Steam was that we had a lot of sales already from Kickstarter.
Right.
So we basically had 1,000 pre-sales from the Kickstarter, so that sort of bloated our Steam numbers. So yeah, I guess Switch has been better.
I mean, I think Switch has definitely been better. Overall, like in the 2 years that we've been on Steam, the Switch sold about a third of that in the 2 weeks that we've been launched.
Wow.
That's great. That's so good to hear.
Yeah, it's just like, it probably would have benefited if we had gotten on Switch a year or so ago, because of the nature of Shadows of Adam being done in JavaScript and being ported to Unity took a little longer than expected.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'd say it's overall like a much more healthier platform for the type of game it is. I've been pretty happy with it.
Yeah. Aside from that, I'm still holding out for a yacht. It's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, I just want some new shoes, man.
Yeah, I have some strong intentions to get some new shoes.
Yeah, we always tell people, like, a lot of people ask us, would you say this game has been a success? And, we all have day jobs. We haven't quit those.
Yeah.
But we've met so many cool and great people through the process of making this game. I mean, we've been to 3 cons now. Our game was sped-run at RPG Limit Break in front of 20,000 viewers on Twitch.
Oh, that's
There's
fantastic.
400 videos on YouTube of Let's Players playing through the game. I mean, I don't know. It's been a great experience for me. I've become a better game developer, better person, a better composer. I've had a great. I've got to work with Tim more and all the other guys.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'd say that's been a success.
It's definitely a transformative experience, and we now have a solid platform to build off of.
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. That's so good to hear. So some of the aspects I want to talk about just a bit more with Shadows of Adam is there were so many different things that I could feel as a person who grew up just nonstop playing 90s JRPGs. I could feel like not references, but inspiration from like Lufia, Chrono Trigger, Breath of Fire, Final Fantasy. And I actually have like a huge list that I've written down, and then I realized, oh god, that's too huge of a list to read on this podcast. I wanted to mention the antagonist that I've started to get to know, Malville. He reminds me, he at least gives me a little bit of the Kefka vibes from Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah, definitely. That was a strong intent to make him like Kefka.
Okay.
Yeah, that character actually wasn't in the earlier drafts of the game. I think Luke just sort of added that in.
Yeah.
I will say though, Kefka is maybe a little bit more frail and flamboyant. I guess it's similar. Yeah, it's definitely similar vibe to Kefka. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Kefka's more malevolent.
Right.
I haven't gotten to know Malville just very much yet. Just a couple of scenes so far.
Sure, no spoilers.
Oh yeah, no spoilers or anything, right? But I got to a town where you got to sneak, and I haven't done the sneaking yet. But walking up to the town, Malvo is there with some guards, and he's just like kind of freaking out. And it reminds me exactly of Final Fantasy VI, where Kefka goes up to Figaro Castle and he's yelling with his guards.
The sand on the boots.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great scene. They wipe the sand off his boots and he just laughs at them. It's a great character moment for him for sure.
Right, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
You laugh with him at that moment, only despise him later.
Right.
Yeah, I think when I sent off Melville the sprite to be drawn by one of our sprite artists, I told him to just make Kefka, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because why not?
There was one other scene, too, that I was thinking, could this be a reference? So I just want to straight out ask you guys if this is the case or not. But the first big town that you get to, and I can't remember the name of the town, the big castle town?
Edgeradora?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you go up there, and then there's a witch in front of a pond, and she's performing like some magic for a couple of people in front. And I was like, oh god, this reminds me so much of Sten from Breath of Fire 2 when you get to Windia performing magic. And I was like, could this this is a bit obscure. Are those two related?
I don't think that's a reference to that.
Yeah.
I think that scene is just literally there to show how in lore people are scared of magic.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
the magician's doing the tricks, and everyone's like has a mixed reaction of fear / excitement because it's just something so wild and exotic, and you know, it's what caused the Great War years ago, and so there's like, I think that's kind of just what that is. Or maybe it is a reference. I don't know.
Yeah, we'd have to ask Luke, but at the very least, it was meant to be lore building.
Gotcha.
And for an NPC, it's actually probably one of the more expensive efforts we put forth. You know,
Yeah.
just like a 20-frame animation for an NPC, and basically the most important thing going on that entire map.
Yeah, it definitely had that impression on me because you had been hearing about it like from your party members and some other NPCs, and then especially when you get to the town and then you see that and you see all these unrelated NPCs in this unrelated town that you haven't been to until now suddenly, and they have a negative reaction basically to the magic. It's like, oh, okay, this is where this story is going.
Yeah, definitely. That's like a big theme of the game.
So before we go on to Super Mario Maker 2 and the direct that just happened, do you guys want to say anything more about Shadows of Adam? I mean, you can bring it up later on if you want to out of the blue, but anything...
I'll never stop talking about Shadows of Adam. Never!
Let's give a shout out to Josh, other Tyler, and Luke for their hard work. Josh and Ty were developers who also had a strong say in what the gameplay should be like, and Luke too, who helped us redesign the story and save the game along with Tyler. Without them, it wouldn't be possible.
Yeah, shout outs to them for sure, and shout outs to all our fans and members of our community. It's been amazing getting to know so many cool people, and it's inspiring. There's so many cool independent developers on our Discord channel, or content creators that make really great content. It's just fun, and exciting that people gave a shit about our game and invested in our community with us. So thank you guys, to all y'all.
Right. It's good to have a community.
Yeah.
I like to also thank my hairdresser, Goff Sanford, in production for his work. My mom, my wallet, my keys. The time that I lost my keys, I want to thank that.
Everybody who asked you to suplex a train.
That's true.
See, listen, don't you want to buy that guy a new pair of shoes by supporting Shadows of Adam?
Yeah, we only need double the sales we have, so that's 5 more sales and we got a new pair of shoes. Make it happen, guys. I believe it. We already got 2 sales from you guys. We're almost there.
Yeah.
3 more.
We gotta share those sales, so really we need a 5 times 5.
Okay, we can do it.
Maybe you can share the shoes too, somebody wears one, the other person wears the other.
True.
Not a bad idea.
Alternate shoes on different days.
Right, the flat rate shipping is gonna work well for this.
Oh dang, we're gonna have to sell 10 more copies then, just to pay for shipping.
All right, we got our goals, listeners. So let's go on. Oh, sorry, Galen, I forgot to ask you. Did you want to say anything more about Shadows of Adam?
I was actually gonna go with the questions beforehand.
Oh, I forgot all about that. Okay.
Just be like when we rewrote the intro for the scene to be after. This would be what you do in the editing.
I'll figure
Remember how this
something out.
exposition was going front? Yeah.
So Galen had some questions that he wanted to ask you guys, sort of as off the top of his head, or not off the top. Wait, off the top of your head. Answer. Galen, why don't you just introduce this?
Like
I am falling and crashing and burning.
So we've done this a couple of times between all of us hosts here, and I personally love this. I think of it more as a hazing ritual. So I have 5 questions for you guys. These are answers, first thing that comes off the top of your head. Okay.
Uh-oh.
So. Question number 1. You are given a $15,000 gaming computer with all the extras and graphics and bells and whistles. What is the first retro game that you play on it?
Can I sell it and buy a cheaper computer?
Tim's finding a loophole. I don't know. I'll say Mario 3 because I love that game.
Alright, fair enough.
No, I don't know why I need a $15,000 computer to play Mario 3.
I'm honestly
The premise of the question is a little absurd, so...
Exactly.
Oh, I'm so glad that you guys said that, because when he read this question to me right before the podcast started, I had the exact same thought, and I was like...
It's a red herring. The $15,000 computer is a red herring. It's like, you should just ask us, what retro game would you play? I don't know. Sorry, I'm not trying to be a jerk.
I just thought it would be more fun.
Or how about, what would you do if somebody gave you a $15,000 retro gaming computer? Set them on fire. Set the computer on fire.
The better answer would be probably to suplex them like a train.
That's true.
I would accept
Oh yeah, Office Space. I'd treat it like Office Space printers.
Alright, so, question number 2. What is the game that you are most ashamed to admit to other people that you have played?
I would say my own dress-up games that I had to do the art for. They were called My Sweet 16, and they were so successful on the Flash websites that we had to make 3 of them. And I hated every one of them. And the fact that I played them and liked it, I hate that part too.
I don't know if I have a game I'm embarrassed by, but I played this really terrible Small Soldiers video game on PS1, which had nothing to do with the movie.
I played that too.
It's pretty bad. They would just license those movie games, and they were just had nothing to do with the movie.
Mm.
That game was horrible, but I played the shit out of it. So
yeah. All right. So, question number 3. What is your preferred gaming snack of choice? # not sponsored.
Well, because I'm not sponsored by Doritos. I'm a 31-year-old man. I still eat Cool Ranch Doritos.
Currently, they're kettle chips that are buffalo wing flavored. They're out of Michigan. I forget the name of the company, but they're hella good. They also have cherry ones.
Cherry flavored chips?
Kind of. Hold on, let's see. They're called Great Lakes potato chips. Actually, one of the guys in our Discord, I do believe, invents the flavors for them.
Oh, Heiko. Yeah, that's his day job. He does something like that, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Just tasting different chip flavors that you come up with. I hope he gets to taste them. That guy deserves it.
Anyways, yeah, the buffalo wings are made with Frank's Red Hot, and then the Michigan Cherry Barbecue.
I would try the cherry barbecue.
Tim liked those chips before they were cool. So. You'd never heard of them, but...
Right.
All right. Question number 4.
Wait, I thought this was question number 3.
No, this is number 4 now.
Oh, okay. I was still thinking about $15,000. So.
When you are alone at night and no one is looking, are you more AAA titles or indie games?
Indie for me.
Yeah, indie, I would say.
I don't really care if people are looking or not, though.
What's that on your Switch? It's not West of Loathing. It's Fortnite. It's Fortnite.
To be honest, I mostly just play Clash Royale on my phone.
Oh, really?
Oh god, which one is that? Is that the dwarf one?
It's like Clash of Clans, but it's a tower defense deck-based game. So it's like a MOBA in a tower defense with the deck of 8 troops, basically. Troops and spells and buildings.
Sounds pretty solid.
Each match is 3 minutes, or less usually, and the loading time is amazing on the game. So if I click it to open it, it'll load in about 3 seconds, and in about 2 seconds. If I choose to start a match, I'll be matched up with somebody.
Oh, that's perfect. That's critical for phone games.
Nice, yeah.
I don't play Pokemon Go for that reason, because it takes 45 seconds to load it.
Yeah.
My God, that first the launch month was both a living nightmare and the most amazing thing I've ever done.
Yeah, Pokemon Go. It kind of actually, when Pokemon Go had come out, I had literally just moved to the DC area to take a new job, so I was in a new neighborhood. So it was kind of like a good timing because like I used it as an excuse to sort of like walk through my neighborhood and see what was up, because there's like a lot of local restaurants and stuff. So that's how I remember Pokemon Go, is like exploring my new neighborhood.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
I have to say, I had some friends visiting me from New York, and they were just hanging out for like a month at my place, and that's when Pokemon Go came out. So we were going out and doing like absolutely everything together. It was one of my most favorite things that ever happened in my entire life.
It's a good experience.
Yeah, thanks, Pokemon.
I lived in a crazy party house for like 2 years, and there's always like 15 people there, and that was a lot of fun. I imagine similar experience.
Yeah.
Are you saying that your Pokemon were your friends, Tim? Like Pikachu and Blastoise?
No, I'm saying that we raged and partied and had real friends. There was this one, in fact, here's an interesting anecdote about that house, is there was this kid, and he lived down the block, and before me and my friends moved in the house, there was an old guard of friends, like high school friends who had just recently graduated, who had previously lived there, and they were like the punk kids, cool punk kids before then. Anyway, so this neighbor kid always hung out with them, and then when we took over the house, he kept coming anyways, and it was his house as much as it was the people who actually lived and owned it. So he just had like rights to come in, and so you'd find him like sleeping, or like he'd break into the house, he'd just be on the couch and he'd just play video games all the time. It was like this cool loner kid that loved people in that house for some reason.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, no, it was great.
There's actually scary parallels between that story and a story that I have. I was living in a house of musicians like, I don't know, 8 years ago, and it was kind of like that, where just people were coming in and out all the time, and yeah, people would just be sleeping when you would walk in sometimes. Like, I never saw that dude before, but there he is sleeping on my couch.
Yeah, that was basically college for me, going to music school and living in like huge houses that you would room with 4 other people and you'd pay like $200 a month for rent. It's kind of amazing, actually.
Yeah.
We had like this big like living area that already had like a drum kit, a Rhodes piano, bass, amps all set up. So like we would just like throw house parties where people would come over and we'd just like be jamming till like 3 a.m. It's pretty great.
Oh, that's perfect.
Nice. Yeah, exactly. Because we had a lot of musician friends too, so we had drum sets. I remember one time somebody made a bet that we wouldn't be up at like 6 a.m. And we're like, yes, we will. And to prove it, we set up drums, cymbals, guitar, amp, everything right outside his bedroom door at 6 a.m. And we made up this song. It was like, Nick Bartel, wake up, Nick! He was so mad.
Hey, but he was up at 6, so...
But he asked for it.
It's kind of like when they dared us not to. Yeah, like I bet you won't put suplexing a trade in your game. We're like, we have Tim on our team. Trust me, we'll do it. Sorry, that joke didn't come out as well as I thought it was. Just edit that out.
No, I'll just edit some laughter in from some other part of the podcast.
Yeah, just put like the canned laugh tracks from like Big Bang Theory or whatever.
No, please don't.
I've been thinking about doing that and a slide whistle, like for whenever Galen makes his bad jokes.
Oh, slide whistle.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm surprised you haven't done that already.
Car crashes. Geese honking.
So, last question. You have the attention of all the game players in the world, probably because of some Twitch stream or something. You are given 5 minutes of free speech time. What message do you give the gamers of the world?
Buy Shadows of Adam. I need shoes.
Get a job, you scrubs. Honestly, I wouldn't want to use that platform to talk to gamers. I don't... Actually, you know what? If I had that platform and I could talk to every single gamer in the world, I would talk about human rights and social issues that matter to me.
Nice.
because I can't think of anything else I would use that platform for.
So Tim's
Very
actually
cool.
like a good guy. I'm just a shameless hawk who wants to buy shoes. So we just learned a lot about ourselves here.
I'm tired.
So let's move on to talking about the Super Mario Maker 2 Direct that just came out this week. So, where the hell do we start with this thing? There's so much content that they listed in that, what was it, 15 minutes Direct or something like that?
Yeah, it's non-stop content pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it started off and it was like, oh, here's how the game works. And I was like, boy, am I ready to snooze on this. And then they were like, okay, 1 minute later, they were like, now here's all the new stuff. And I was like, great, go right into that. Show me everything new. And there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, huge. Did any of it stand out to you as so interesting that you have to buy Mario Maker 2 and play it immediately to try it out?
Story mode seemed pretty cool.
Cat
Dude,
Bowser.
frickin' slopes, man.
Cat Bowser. I was hoping for Pink Gold Peach, but we don't have that.
We need Pink Gold Bowsette, though. I'm going to be
Oh,
real.
that's true. That's getting pretty niche. I was thinking Pink Gold Wario-ette. There should be like a female version of all the Marios, Luigi's, Wario's, and Warios.
Yeah, yeah.
Waluigi or whatever his name. So Waluigi-ette. Pink Gold Waluigi-ette.
That's the name of this podcast. Pink Gold Waluigi is perfect.
I want to see Maria, Luigi, Waria,
Luigi is a Pokemon, I think.
Lugia.
Lugia. Yeah, there you go.
No, it seemed really cool. Like, it had a lot of cool content. I like the fact that they added the Sun guy, just because I love Mario 3 so much.
Yeah.
Sun Guy is great and the worst.
Just when you first saw that as a kid, that blew my mind. Like, that to me was like the first time when I was playing Mario 3, besides the flying, of course, where I was like, this is a wild freaking game. He just threw all these ideas and tried them.
Totally
Yeah.
unexpected when the background attacks you.
This thing that you sort of see as the backdrop, suddenly it comes out of the backdrop and then it's on your plane and it's attacking you.
Right.
And you're like, well, now I have to run. Now I have to do everything that I didn't want to do.
As silly as it is, I was actually more impressed with the on-off switches.
Mm.
Well, the reason is because a lot of my interaction with the original Mario Maker was watching other people's runs on YouTube and playing the levels that they made, and there's some incredibly ingenious ways to work with very limited resources that they have on here. So as soon as they showed that one scene of the timing of the switch with the shell block hitting it, bouncing off the wall, and then hitting it again, and then moving between the different almost like dividers that were on there, like that just opened up a new world of, oh, this is a lot more meaningful than I originally gave it credit for.
Yeah.
So that part made me the most excited to see what people can do with it when they actually get their hands on that.
Right.
Yeah, I had the same thought where they were showing off so much different things that like I didn't care about, but I was thinking, I can't wait to see what other people create using these tools.
Exactly.
Also same.
Although I was also really excited about the Koopa Troopa car.
That thing was cool.
That was unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the great thing about these sort of games. It's like, you have no idea when you unleash the creativity of all these players and what they're going to come up with.
Mm-hmm.
And even the developers probably had no idea what fully could be done with the tools they're giving the people, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
And I like that they had a tag for speedrun. I thought that was like pretty forward-thinking for Nintendo for once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Sure.
Exactly.
Well, there's, I mean, as far as like engaging with like the quote-unquote hardcore group of gamers, which not that they disengage from that, but they seem to really like their market has always been like the family at the couch enjoying games, which I love that part of Nintendo too. But that was just cool to see them say, hey, look, you can make games that are designed for speedrunning, and we think that's cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think it really kind of gives tribute to the versatility of this game. I mean, the fact that you can have something as complicated as, like, Taizo Mario, and then also put it in the same realm as, hey, just don't touch anything, because we're going to take you on a journey by auto-moving your character around to all these different music beats or whatever that they have. Like, those are coming from the same game and the same engine and everything.
Sort of on that note, I was really impressed where I saw that you could filter stages by ratings, like user ratings. So now the people that want to play hard stages don't have to play through atrocious levels just because it's rated, quote, hard. And I think that something like that is going to be really appreciated by the really hardcore Mario players.
Yeah, definitely.
So, how about you guys, Tim and Tyler? Did you play any of the original Mario Maker or play anybody's stages or anything like that?
Unfortunately, I didn't have a Wii U, so I kind of missed out on that whole generation of gaming.
Gotcha.
Which, on a slight tangent, I play a lot of Smash. I go to a lot of tournaments, but because I never played the one before it, I'm always like fascinated how many stupid characters there are in the game. I don't know what they do. So I know this is completely off subject. You can cut this if you want.
No.
But I was at a local, like an 80-man local, and I was like, my first match is going to be on stream. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I've never done a match on stream. So I'm like sitting next to this like 11-year-old kid. And I'm like trying to select stage, and he didn't know what he's doing. I'm like, oh, this is so cute. I'm going to wreck this guy. It's going to be hilarious. He picks Little Mac, who, like, according to everyone, is like the worst character in the game. I'm like, all right, I got this. He freaking smokes me because I don't know what the character does. And I'm just like, I didn't play Smash 4. I never had a Wii U.
And that's how you get hustled, kids.
Oh, dude. And all his friends were like trash talking me, like, go get him, yeah! Like all these like 12-year-olds. And I'm like 31 years old. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Getting beat by this 11-year-old kid. They're trash talking me and I'm getting mad. So I lost. I was just like, all right, I'm going home. I'm going to have some Doritos.
You're trying to figure out how to jump over the guy and trying to figure out what a scrub is, and it's just like, what am I doing with my life?
But yeah, unfortunately, I didn't play any Mario Maker. I played a little bit with my little brother. He had a Wii U. I remember thinking that it was really, really cool, and I remember watching some GDQ stuff where they like made these really hard levels, and they had speedrunners like blindly try to beat it in a race, which I thought was pretty awesome.
How about you, Tim? Did you play very much Mario Maker on the Wii U?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So at that time, I owned it. I was pretty busy with Shadows of Adam, so I didn't get into it too much, and I think the amount of investment to go in and like make a cool level, which is why I got it, was just too high, and the fact that there's so many people producing way better content didn't necessarily inspire me to make my own stuff.
It was more intimidating than it was inspiring.
Yeah, I would say so. Not necessarily intimidating, but just the concept of how much investment I would have to put forth to even come close to the level of people doing things already.
Yeah.
And just don't have like an idea in my head of something I have to execute.
Yeah,
Right.
I had that exact same feeling. As much as I wanted to play it and wanted to keep playing it, it ended up just being like, this is too much work.
Exactly.
Yeah, game design can be challenging for sure.
True, but I think my like 10-year-old self would have absolutely loved that game.
Oh, absolutely. You got nothing else to do. You know, you come home, you do your homework, and sitting on the little Switch or the Wii U gamepad all day, I could see myself.
Yeah, this game's kind of amazing because it really does have something for everyone. It has something for like the people who just want to troll. Like, I'm gonna make a troll level.
Yeah.
And then there's the people who like want to like make like really well meticulously crafted like good levels to like practice game design. And then there's probably people who just want to make something fun and zany that they show their siblings or their friends. It's like, or something for speedrunners, or something for, like you said, like a auto scroller that just takes you through the level. It's kind of cool, like when they give you the tools, how open the results can be, and that's actually really exciting.
Yeah.
I'm actually like, super stoked to see what people make with this new one.
Definitely.
So what if this Mario Maker thing is all just like a really big ploy on Nintendo's part to find talented level designers so they can hire them? I think that would be like the smartest thing.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's like the Willy Wonka and the Golden Ticket, except this one is actually merit-based. Why did you think that idea was gonna work? Like, I'm just gonna hope that 5 random kids come and none of them are assholes. And like 4 of them were such big assholes that the 5th guy was like, well, by process of elimination, it has to be you, I guess. That's like a terrible idea.
Even though he blew it too.
Yeah, you weren't even the
Well,
best. You
sorry,
just weren't a jerk.
Nobody's good.
Well, I guess he didn't give the recipe to Gobstopper or whatever the heck his name was.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was like the test.
Mr. Clown.
He was so terrifying when I was a kid. He always, like, his face appeared from the shadows, had really good cinematography on him.
Yeah.
So speaking of terrifying, we have Meowser, which is apparently his real name, not Cat Bowser, appearing in the 3D World section of Mario Maker, which is totally different style than the other styles.
Mhm.
I thought that was super cool that they were like, okay, you can't do things in this version and vice versa, so it just has to be a totally different style, and it opens up the window of possibilities.
I was actually a little disappointed when they first talking about that, because at first they were like, hey, we've got this brand new thing that's going to be completely different. It's 3D world, and my mind is instantly going to being able to create levels in a 3D environment. And I'm like, that is a major game changer. How are they going to do that?
That's a totally different game, Galen.
It's not a totally different game.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
you just said
definitely.
it yourself.
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
It changes the game to something else.
Hold on, Galen can't talk right now. His foot's in his mouth.
That's the slide whistle. I'm sorry, we're like completely derailing your podcast.
No,
You
it's
get some
cool.
good
I
stuff out of
much
this.
prefer this style.
That is indicating that we actually have a flow and we know what we're doing
Yeah,
half the
yeah.
time.
Fooled him this time, didn't we?
I, for a moment, thought that they were going to try to take a 3D world play on the Mario Maker level, and I was very interested to see that in action. But when they came out and it was still just 2D, just a lot of the 3D world elements kind of thrown into it, I'm wondering if that's something that would even be possible in later games.
I think they would build a different game for it.
Yeah.
It would never be like an added feature. It's too big, much too big.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally agree, because you have to be a totally different engine. You have to have different kinds of QA for totally different styles of play. I think that this one already is big enough of a difference, and it's still 2D.
Yeah. No, I agree, but I am trying to consider the oh god, what's the word that I'm looking for? Not the progression, the escalation of everything. So Super Mario Maker 2 looks like a great game, especially with all the features. Like, I'm starting to try to think of things they haven't put into it yet with what they've announced here. Like, where do you go for Super Mario Maker 3 down the line?
I want to
Like,
see a world map. Like
Yeah.
Super Mario World.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
I was so disappointed they didn't
That would be
notice
really
or
cool.
announce that.
Well, they had something, but it was like it would like string together like random internet levels and like create like a world map you go through.
Yeah, that ain't a world map. It's just a line with a circle that extends 8 times.
So basically, you just want like instead of RPG Maker, you just want like 16-bit platform maker. I mean, that would be sick if you could make your own world map and have like alternate exits, like the keys in Super Mario World.
Yeah.
Exactly. Give us the tools to remake Super Mario World if we want to, and
Yes.
build on it from there. I'd much rather have that than Meowser. I don't honestly know what Meowser adds to the game besides like a cheeky reference to cats, which
I don't know, dude. If I don't get pink gold Waluigi yet, I might start an online petition.
yeah. I mean, Grumpy Cat just died, right? So
Oh,
that's the end of the internet as we know it.
Cue the slide whistle.
At least-
Holy crap.
At least the end of like cats being popular.
yeah.
It's all about dogs now. Whereas
true.
Woofster.
Is there a dog meme yet?
No, not a one. There is not a dog meme on the internet at all.
I mean, you know what I mean. You know, like the one, there's the grumpy
Wow,
cat.
such meme.
It's called petting dogs in games. That's the current.
Oh, that's true. Oh, there was one meme I saw. It was like a wolf. It was like 100,000 years ago, and the wolf's like, he's like, oh, I'm looking at this human camp. It can't be too bad if I just go like say hi to them. And then it's like 100,000 years later, it's like a pug with like a party hat on. It's pretty fun.
That's so true.
I think with this movement of empathy, people are really into dogs now because dogs are just empathetic humans that have souls, as opposed to humans who are not empathetic and have no soul.
Oh, cats.
So, no, cats are also like humans in that they don't have souls and empathy. But so we're now looking to dogs for cultural reference on how to behave well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They also like love waking up in the morning and celebrating. Like I was actually talking to my wife about this today when we were walking our dog. I was like, "Yeah, we could learn a lot from Jackson. He's just like always excited. He's just happy. Just like embraces the day. Now he's sparkling.
Whoa.
Hey, you agree, buddy?
Yeah, exactly.
That was
That's
absurd.
my point. I tried calling a bird trend, and it still hasn't happened yet. I called it 8 years ago, but I think it's starting to happen finally.
Oh, the bird trend?
That birds are just going to trend one day. It's going to be a huge deal.
That's all I see people tweeting about, so.
Yeah.
Well, that's because of Pro Jared and Holly Conrad lately. That's why you hear about birds tweeting.
Oh, really?
There was a joke in there, and I made it happen. There's jokes in this episode.
That's pretty good.
See, I don't know. It's good. It'll happen. I don't know why.
I'm just waiting for the I Like Turtles guy to have his full circle moment where turtles become the most domesticated pet.
Ah. Yeah, what's that guy doing now?
He's probably still wearing that zombie makeup.
Probably.
He never took it off. What if he had he was on retainer from like the Disney Corporation and said, "We'll just pay you $1 million a year. The only stipulation is you always have to be dressed as a zombie. And if anyone ever talks to you, okay, wait, how much money would you guys need to get paid a year to like be dressed like that zombie kid, and the only words you can say are "I like turtles"?
Well, you've already thrown out $1 million as like the baseline, so it only
You
goes
broke
up from
the
there.
first rule of negotiation.
Sorry,
You couldn't pay me any amount of money to do that. The amount of value I would miss out on by doing that for a year.
I mean, you could be like Groot and just like have different ways of saying the phrase that can imply different sort of. I like turtles. I like turtles.
Yeah.
I like turtles. You know, there's ways there. There's nonverbal communication.
Oh god, that reminds me of Seinfeld with these pretzels are making me thirsty. Anybody a Seinfeld fan? No?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's been like I watched a random episode here and there. I don't remember the classics like I used to.
This podcast is kind of like Seinfeld. We're talking about nothing.
Yeah, it's a podcast about nothing.
Sorry, that's what happens when you have the.
No, it's totally cool.
Now there was a logical tangent. It started with Meowser and it ended up with I Like Turtles.
Right.
It ended up with Seinfeld.
So dialing it back though to where we came from with Meowser, we were talking about the 3D world and how it's a totally different mode. It did say under that menu, it said something about like game styles, and it said plural, and then it's missing like an area for an icon, so clearly one more style is going to be there. That's like passively teasing it. I don't think that Nintendo screwed up or anything. I think that that's just marketing.
I've seen a lot of random memes about it already. People filling in that spot.
That's just the marketing working its magic.
Exactly. The subtle. See, it's like the art of the subtle troll, right?
Yeah.
What they were doing with that.
Do you guys remember when Smash Ultimate was announced and that green mode, which ended up being Spirits mode, was like grayed out?
Oh,
was, like,
yeah,
blurred
and
out.
it was totally legible in both languages.
Right.
Well, like people like there
Or
was
like,
like
hey,
a,
it's spirits mode.
there was like a funny image where it's like it kept like showing it like getting more correct in each frame,
Yeah.
and then at the end it just said Waluigi mode. That's pretty great.
Nice.
But I won't stop until Waluigi is pink gold. Waluigi is in Super Smash Bros. I'm gonna keep saying that joke until it's not funny. So.
It's already not funny, so
Uh,
congrats.
So what kind of game modes, though, truly, would you like to see coming to Super Mario Maker 2 under that category?
Mario 2
Yeah!
Oh, Mario 2 would be cool.
Yeah.
and Yoshi's Island.
Yeah!
There's probably no way this is possible, but some sort of like Mario 64. I mean, that's not possible, but I can dream, right?
How about Link to the Past mode? It's side scroller, Link to the Past graphics.
Why don't they just have a mode that's just literally here's every SNES graphic ever, and you can make whatever game you want. That'd be fucking amazing.
It's just a bunch of chipsets like set in like really awkward places, so it looks like you're playing
Yeah.
a bugged out 8-bit game.
All right.
Actually, on that note, one thing I did see that was missing from this entire thing was any reference to amiibos, which I kind of liked in the first one because it really kind of opened up the creativity of, hey, what if we made a Metroid level, it's just set in a, the Mario world, or just you could play a level through as Link or something like that. I'm wondering why they didn't mention anything on that. Is it something that they just didn't want to reveal it at this time, or is it something that they're considering just axing in entirety?
I'm sure they're not going to axe that.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect them to, but it's very odd to see that missing, considering how much they could easily throw in here. Just as a simple addition as to, hey, tap an amiibo and you can create a bunch of characters or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Might be just saving it for a future announcement.
That's
Don't want to give all
possible.
their cards away. Or maybe it's a DLC, who knows?
Yeah. But then again, the game is coming out really soon. Like,
That's
how
right,
many more
next month.
announcements can they actually have?
Oh, I'm sure they'll surprise us somehow. That's sort
Yeah.
of the way content is devoured now.
Right. They're going to save something, I think, for like the Treehouse live sessions that they do at E3, so there's got to be surprises there.
I'm just mad that it wasn't Animal Crossing they were talking about.
Animal Crossing fans are rabid right now about like, where are our announcements? We've been waiting, we've been patient.
Right. It's been decades.
My wife is one of them. Every time I say there's a new Nintendo thing, she's like, oh, is this the where Animal Crossing is coming out? No.
Oh, dang.
Animal Crossing for Switch is becoming like Mother 3.
You're right.
Now we don't have to keep asking Reggie that anymore because he's not at the company. But I think he got pretty annoyed that he would always get asked that in interviews.
That's what made him leave.
Thought so.
I'm throwing in the towel, guys. I can't do this anymore.
Now we have to ask Bowser if he's going to release Mother 3. That sounds like we have less chance there.
Dead Bowser, yeah. Yeah, it's probably ain't gonna happen, unfortunately, but that'd be really sick if it did.
I just got this mental image of Doug Bowser sitting on a throne with like pits of fire on either side of him, and various like gamers coming up and being like shoved to the floor and being like, ask your question now.
What about the Santa Claus in Christmas Story? He like puts his foot on the kid's face. Oh.
Oh, that's so good. And then the kid, he crawls back up the slide and he's like, wait, I just want Waluigi and Smash.
Yeah.
You'll put your eye out, kid.
He's already an assist trophy, and then he kicks him down the slide.
Stupid kid.
So I think we've talked about Super Mario Maker quite a bit. I think we'll move on to additional DLC and close out the show. Does that sound good to you guys, or do you have anything more you want to say?
Yeah, shout out to my hairdresser. Props to my keyboard, even though I haven't been using it lately. Sorry, keyboard, I'll get back to you.
Well, you're doing this joke again?
Until you stop doing the Waluigi Bowserette.
It's pink gold Waluigi. Come on, dude. Actually, it's pink gold meow Waluigi. So
Exactly.
it's. I mean, that's what's gonna happen when Mario Kart 20 comes out. They're just gonna have to keep coming up with new stupid characters, so they'll just combine everyone. Remember when you made that Smash Bros. Ultimate like fake character list,
Yeah.
Tim? That was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
It was like Young Link, Cloud, Marth. It's like it didn't even make sense.
It was all sword fighters, and it was there was me sword fighter, then there was me Roy. He just had like a me face, but it was Roy. And then there was like a me Roy sword fighter, sword Link. It was all terrible. There were 64 of them that I made.
Young Toon, Sword, me, Link, Fighter.
Yeah. Tune me Roy sword fighter.
And every time they were tuned, they just had like the big like bubbly eyes. Anyway, we're about ready to announce our next game. Me Toon Sword Fighter Link Roy.
Oh, Shadows of Me Too, Roy Fighter.
Now you're getting it.
Is that the one with the pink gold edition that you can get?
That's the complete edition that will come out a year later.
Gotcha.
We'll tease that it's
Gotcha.
coming out on Switch, but it'll actually just be a Dynasty Warrior.
Pink Lord Bowserette is gonna be a DLC level.
So speaking of DLC, let's jump on over to our additional DLC. Galen, what do you have to recommend to our listeners this week?
So this week I am going over Avengers Endgame: How to Do a Save the World Story by YouTube creator Hello Future Me. It's a nice little bit where it points out that Endgame has this huge everything is in peril, everything must be saved, and yet we're still invested enough in the story knowing that there is a sequel that's going to be coming out a couple months later in Spider-Man Far From Home. But it goes over how you shift the focus on what keeps the people interested and invested in a story like that, even though they already know what the end outcome is going to be. It was a nice film analysis all together, so I really liked it.
Great. And then for me, my additional DLC, keeping with the tone of 90s era JRPGs, I'm recommending a remix by Zircon called Searing Aggression, which is a synth rock / metal remix of Sinistral Battle from Lufia 2. Zircon has been remixing video game music for like ever. His works are always top notch, and Lufia 2 has some excellent music. And this particular song is so intense, so hype. It's one of those quintessential themes that I think of when I think of endgame bosses. So do check it out.
Does that mean we get to recommend something?
I'm going to assume you will recommend Shadows of Adam.
Yeah. I've already given that speech to every gamer in the world. I guess not a chance to talk about human rights. But no, actually, I want to give a shout out to another indie RPG that I played recently that I really liked. Josh recommended this to me. And I believe this game actually came out about the time Shaz had a bit on Steam, but it's on Switch and all the other consoles. It's called West of Loathing. And it was a charming little 12-hour game. I would describe it as like Oregon Trail meets like Earthbound meets an JRPG. It's really great writing. It's really fun and open. It's kind of got a story, but it's not really important. It's more about just sort of the stuff you do. I don't know how to describe it. I really liked it, and I would recommend you get it. It's like $11.
You said West of Loathing.
West of Loathing. That's my recommendation. Really enjoy it.
Very
Very good
cool.
example of what indies can do, find their niche and really do something unique and cool. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I've played a couple of hours of that. The writing in it is fantastic.
Yeah, and I liked it because it was clean humor and it was kind of on the nose, which you don't see that a lot. I actually kind of like more absurd humor. This one wasn't as absurd. It was more just kind of like I said, on the nose. But there was something charming about it. It wasn't gross out humor. It was just sort of played it straight. It was just funny and witty.
Yeah, well crafted for sure.
Alright, I don't have any DLC. You could play Shadows of Adam. Otherwise, go listen to some Bjork. Any of her songs will do. But if you need one in particular, Hunter is always a good one to go to.
Awesome. So let's move on to some listener mail. If you want to send us an email, you can send us your email at nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
That email is nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
And your email might sound a little something like Tessa's.
So Tessa wrote in, I loved hearing about your gaming setup and decorations a few episodes ago, and I'm always interested to hear what people decorate their phones, tablets, PCs, etc. with. What kind of backgrounds do you have on these devices, and what kind of stickers or charms do you put on them?
Thank you, Tessa.
Thanks, Tessa. Yeah, thanks. Oni, what do you put on your phone?
So my background has been, ever since launch, Octopath Traveler, because wow do I love that game's aesthetic. And then my phone is in it doesn't have any charms on it or something, but it's in a case, a Kirby case from the Kirby Cafe in Tokyo.
Fun.
How about you, Galen?
Personally, I actually switch up my cases every couple of months or so, just something minimalistic. I don't have a whole lot of charms or anything like that on it, because I put it in docking stations and other things like that, so whatever is easy to kind of slip on and off. That said, I do have one of those pop socket guys, because
what the hell is that?
I don't like. It's the little thing that goes onto the back of your phone, and it just kind of pops out and lets you hold your phone a little bit easier when you're looking at your phone in bed. Yeah. I hate the extra bulk that it actually adds and how offset it is when you put your phone on the table. So most of the cases that I have, I actually drill a hole through it just so I can put the entire thing and make it flush with the case.
Oh my god, your life is so unnecessary.
But yeah, the other part of this is, as far as like backgrounds and whatnot, I usually have two different styles, one for my lock screen and one for the background of the phone, and it's either personal photo of my wife, my dog, something like that, and then switch over to whatever gaming or hobby interest I'm into at the time.
Mega Man.
So, yeah, he's been a background a couple of times.
You know, I wanted to say those little like things that pop out on the back of the phone, I've never ever seen them in Japan, but I always see them in America. In Japan, there's like these little rings that go on the back of your phone, and I have them on my phone, but then I had to take it off for the Kirby Cafe thing. And they are not like, they don't add a lot of bulk, so you can set your phone down normally, and they're fantastic. I don't know why America doesn't have them.
I'm sure they're out there, but I mean, like I said, I'm right there with you when it comes to like increasing the bulk of the phone itself. So I feel like getting just a cheap like $10 case off of Amazon or something, and then something that I'm not going to be upset that I am drilling a hole through. Yeah, that's a good compromise.
So Tim and Tyler, how about you guys? Any decorations or personification? Specification? What's the word I'm looking for?
I have a Run the Jewels Stay Gold beer sticker on my laptop. Otherwise, I don't normally put stickers on shit, but that one I did because it's pretty cool. It's pretty minimalistic. It's just got the gold hand, and it says "Stay Gold," and it was a good beer. So
very nice.
And it actually comes off the can super easy.
Oh, it was on the can. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was on the can, so I pulled it off, and it's like a 3.5-inch by 5-inch sticker.
Stickers always make me super paranoid because I either have no interest in the sticker whatsoever, so there's no place I would want to actually put it, or I like the sticker so much, I'm always thinking, well, I want to put this on just the right thing, but I'm always afraid to actually stick it to something.
That mentality is a glimpse into your life, Galen. That says so much about you.
Absolutely. Abso-frickin-lutely. I have a 12-year-old sticker set of Mega Man X stickers that I collected back when I used to work in a movie theater, and they had a little like coin-operated sticker guy there.
Oh my god.
I collected every single sticker from that thing, never put one on anything, just because I was always like, what am I going to use these on?
Yeah, put them on a piece of paper and then throw it in the trash. It's probably better to not use stickers if you want them to have long-term value to you.
Yeah.
If there was a Shadows of Adam sticker, I'd put it on everyone who bought the book.
On the people, right?
Yeah.
Now we gotta sell another 10 copies.
Yeah, if you want Shadows of Adam stickers, you're gonna have to buy some more. Help them print.
Alright. If we sell 20,000 copies in the next 24 hours, we'll make Shadows of Adam stickers. So get on that, everyone.
Yeah.
Here we go!
So let's talk about what's coming up, what's coming out on the Nintendo Everything podcast. Oh, I totally forgot to talk about my Koei Tecmo trip. That's okay, I'll talk about it later, because this podcast is going really long. So I recently went to Koei Tecmo, put up a whole bunch of features on the Nintendo Everything website and our YouTube, so you can check it out there. We got previews of the game and in-depth descriptions of all of the new features and new systems in Final Battle. We also have Thief Simulator review that came out recently, and we have a couple more reviews coming out, but I can't say exactly which ones. We also got some Sakurai translations that'll be coming out very soon if it's not out already. He talks about some dropped content from Smash Bros. And talks about some new ideas that he wants to implement in the future as well.
Drop content? I knew it. I knew Pink Gold Waluigi was going to be in Smash.
Yeah, I can tell. That game is just so light on content. I knew there was something missing.
They needed more stupid characters. Just like give her a downbeat counter and like a one-hit KO move and call it a day. She'd fit right in. And then another 11-year-old can beat me.
So guys, thank you so much for coming on to the Nintendo Everything podcast with us and talking about your awesome game, Shadows of Adam. I am enjoying the hell out of it, and I can't wait to get done with this podcast, finish audio editing it, so I can get back to playing it.
Awesome, yeah, and please let us know. how you feel about the whole game when you get through it.
Only if it's positive, though. Nah.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for having us on. This was fun. And
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, anytime you guys want to come back to and just chill out or promote something else, you guys got any big plans coming up for the game development world yet?
We're all working on our own projects, and eventually we'll probably smash them back into something classic. So, no announcements yet, but one day we will.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Yeah. Other than that, just want to thank my hairdresser.
So, you can stay tuned for news on NintendoEverything.com. We also have the Twitter, that's at NinEverything, and our YouTube, of course, youtube.com/NinEverything. Tyler and Tim, where can fans find you if they want to interact with you?
Yeah, Twitter's our best bet at something classic, but it's spelled CLASSC, so no I. Or our Discord, we just got verified, so discord.gg/somethingclassic. Our Discord is hopping. You should be a part of it.
Yeah, song of the day. There's a Bjork-esque song by a local musician in Milwaukee today for the song of the day.
That's right, song of the day and all that fun stuff. Yeah, follow us on Twitter or Discord. Oh, we stream too, twitch.tv/somethingclassic. I try to stream a few days a week, just random RPGs or Smash Brothers or whatever. It's fun.
Cool.
Awesome. Are you from Milwaukee, Tim?
Yep.
Oh, excellent. Can't really hear it in your accent, or didn't hear you talking about the Packers or PBR or anything.
Yeah, the Bucks are killing it right now. Gonna watch the Bucks game later.
So you can also find me on Twitter. That's at Oni_Dino. I also have the Instagram at Oni__Dino. And Galen, what about you? Where can people find you and yell at you and tell you that your life is too extra? For drilling holes into every case? What? I can't get over it.
It's not every case. It's like every other case.
You said every case. I'm going to listen to it back.
You know what? You can follow all of the pictures of my holy cases at Mobius087 on Twitter.
So, thank you everybody for joining us and listening to us BS with Something Classic. Check out their game Shadows of Adam, out now on Nintendo Switch. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Highly recommend it. It's a great play.
Yeah. Be sure to rate us on iTunes or whatever listening platform you're listening to us on. Share this podcast with somebody that you think might enjoy it, or maybe even somebody who doesn't enjoy it, because you know what? Sometimes people need a new thing in their life.
Yeah. Seek out the people who don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Make them listen.
And shove it down their throat.
Right.
That's the best way to convince somebody of your opinion is to yell at them and just force it on them. That's what everybody on the internet does, and that's clearly how it's working.
Hashtag play Shadows of Adam.
Hashtag suplex a train.
Or that.
Right. Hashtag thank my hairdresser.
Hashtag pink gold meowlowy jet.
Yeah, there's probably a better way to make that portmanteau. I'll figure it out. I'm writing the petition right now, so I'll tell you when it's done.
Oh man, bonus points for using the word portmanteau.
Right, hashtag portmanteau.
Well done. Is it portmanteau or portmanteau?
I've never heard anybody else say it.
It's EAU, so that's
like it's like
French.
I should know that. I'm from Louisiana.
It's French.
Oh. And, oh god, I wish I could say French here, but I have no idea how to speak French. For everything Nintendo,
stay tuned to Nintendo Everything.
Bye-bye.
Au revoir.
Adios.
Later.
Thanks, hairdresser. Peace.
Really?